Okay. I'd like to thank Sunrise Podcast Network for having me today. And we not just have one, but we got two poker stars of the world here. We got Kristen Foxen and Alex Foxen. Welcome to the show today.
Thank you for having us.
Now, a lot of people may not know who you are, but I'm sure you're pretty well known anyway. I want to give all those out there listening a little idea about how great of poker players you are. First of all, Alex here has won over 42 million and change, of course, a lot more. That's how good he is. His best life cash is 4,563,000. He's number 4 all time in New York in money winnings. His last win was the $100,000 Triton, and he won 3,850,000. And we'll get back to that and talk about that. That has to be huge there. Now, over here to my right is the beautiful little cutie. That's his wife, by the way. Of course, I've already told you that. We got Kristen Foxen, who's won over $9 million. Look how young she is, and she already won $9 million. Wow. And you're doing really good in the Poker Go studio. I know I deal you all the time over there.
Yep.
But your ranking is 41st in the world, okay? Your last win was January 21st when you got first for 197,000, and that was in the Poker Go studio. So congratulations on that.
Thank you.
And all-time money list, you're number 11 in Canada.
Wow, okay.
That is something. I don't know if you knew that.
I didn't, actually.
So we're going to talk a little poker with these two pros, and I believe I'm going to start right over to both of you. But let's see what you say. How did you meet this beautiful young poker pro? I want to hear it.
Believe it or not, playing poker.
Oh my! I wouldn't have believed it.
Yeah, I know it's an unlikely story, but I mean, honestly, it is an unlikely story. There's not many women that play poker, especially there's no women that play poker at my wife's level. But we were the first time we ever met was in Seminole Hard Rock at playing a 10K. And I think she really didn't like how aggressive I was being. So she tried to kind of talk me out of 3-betting so much. And that was the first conversation we ever had. She's not the only one, by the way, to pull me away from the table to try to get me to stop 3-betting them.
Well, don't name any names.
I wasn't going to.
But I was just introducing myself, I think. You stood up.
Yeah,
I don't remember exactly what happened.
It was a ploy to
I
stop
didn't
me.
know who the heck this kid was. Every time I opened, he'd 3-bet me. And I was feeling attacked like it was a female thing. Later on I realized he just didn't realize that if you wanted to play hand preflop, you have to 3-bet. People don't know this, but I actually taught Alex that you can call preflop if someone's opened.
Whoa.
Because every time someone opened and he wanted to play, he thought, oh, I have to 3-bet. So I'm sort of kidding, but it seemed that way from all of his hands that he played. So anyway, I just was like, who is this guy? Funnily enough, I took a picture of him to send it to a friend to say, who is this guy? I accidentally sent it to my mom, which is very weird. It wasn't like, oh, this guy's cute. I was just kind of like, who does this guy think he is? And is he good at poker? Or is
pretty
he just
common
clicking?
practice. You play against someone, you don't know who they are. You see them at the table, you take a picture or like ask someone if they know who it is.
Yeah.
So,
and for some weird reason,
yeah.
I sent it to my mom. So, which is kind of crazy because, 8 years later, we're married. And I happen to, I don't take a picture of everybody at the poker table, but usually somebody who sticks out. Yeah.
The
Some
way she's looking
foreshadowing
at
there.
you, she loves you, brother. Seriously.
I hope so.
Yes. Yes.
So you took a picture,
Yep.
and when did you say, hey, when are we going to go out? Or did he ask you? Or what? Well, come on now, Alex.
Well, we played a few more times over the course of, the next year or so. And we just started talking eventually. And, one thing led to another. We, got dinner and the rest is
And here
history.
you are, yeah.
Well, I think when we first started talking, I would just say, we just kept talking. Since then. I think we have a lot in common, and I think
we never had a lack of conversation.
Yeah, we joke it's still this way, but if we go out to eat, I feel like we're the last couple in the restaurant pretty much every time.
Yeah,
and
they're usually kicking us out, making us leave. We're there until closing most of the time.
Yeah. So.
I think with both of you being, in my eyes, both of you professionals by far, real awesome. And do you guys ever talk about poker and work on your game together?
Yeah, definitely. I mean, we talk a lot about everything, but poker is a big part of, both of our lives, obviously. So naturally, we talk about it a lot. And I think we both, try to provide our unique insight to the other person and get to see hands from different perspectives. So I think there's a lot that we both gain from conversations about poker. It's really fortunate in a number of ways, I would say. First of all, because of from the improvement and analysis standpoint, it's really valuable. But from the relationship standpoint, I think it's pretty unique to have, to be in a relationship with someone who understands poker at such
At
a
a
deep
high level that
It's
you guys play.
It's not just understanding the swings it's like truly, you can rattle off a hand history really quickly and she completely understands. Whereas I don't think that there are many people who have that with their, significant others. So I feel very lucky in that sense.
So if you run into a player that you haven't played against, and Alex has played against him,
Yeah.
will you ask Alex for some info? Like, hey, does this guy 3-bet?
Definitely.
You do?
Yeah. If we're especially deep in a tournament, it's like, what do you have on this guy? Played with him? Do you know him? And vice versa. I think we're always.
You would do the same.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah. Always looking for any information you can get if you don't have any yourself.
Well, when you guys, I'm assuming you travel like most pros around the world and play.
Yep.
Yeah.
You guys always go together when you do that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't think
Wow.
have we? I don't think we've even had a stop where we didn't.
Maybe once or twice.
Yeah.
If something came up.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But very
Wow.
rare. Yeah, almost always together.
Yeah.
I mean, we play the same tournaments. There's no reason not to be together.
Okay, that's a great introductory right there. I mean, wow. I could see it. I could see it in your guys' eyes. You love each other, really. I mean, I ain't saying I'm some marriage counselor or nothing, but her eyes just shine
doesn't
out.
take a
The
marriage
lights
counselor.
are coming at her or what. But I'm having a wonderful time. Now let's talk a little bit of poker. I'm going to start with you, Alex.
Sure.
Boy, you just won a big one. I just mentioned it earlier, and it was across seas, right?
Mm-hmm.
$3,850,000. Now you won more than that, but the one that you won, when you got to go through a field of foreign players, right? Not all American players.
No, yeah.
What's the difficulty of that?
I mean, I'm not. To me, it's not where they're from is pretty insignificant. It's a lot of players that I've played with very frequently. It's kind of a group of regs that I'm quite familiar with at this point over the course of the last 10 years. Been playing with them all over. And there's a lot of overlap between those fields and the PokerGo fields. So it really wasn't like it's not like it was a unique field or a new field or anything like that. A lot of familiar faces. It just happened to be a bigger one in the Bahamas.
Okay, well, Bahamas, maybe that's why. But I've heard that foreign players play more aggressive and they're a little crazy. That's why I asked you that question. That's what I hear.
Yeah,
But
they do have that reputation. I think that's changed a little bit over time. I mean, not that they're not aggressive, but that I feel like it used to be that the American reg pool was a lot more passive and on the tighter side. But I think over the years that's definitely normalized, and a lot of the people have access to similar tools and are using the same ways to improve and study their game. So I do think the play style is kind of converging in a sense. So I don't really think that there's any major difference from one field to the next, or one like country to the next, I should say. But yeah, no, the Tritons always bring out the kind of the toughest opponents for the most part. So it is a little bit different. The buy-ins are the biggest, so there are a handful of people from different countries that won't take the time to travel to, say, PokerGo for a series there that will make the trip to the Tritons. So it's a bit of a different field, but generally similar play style. And yeah, just...
Well, I play sometimes too, and I've noticed the difference from when I first started playing and now is that when somebody raises pre-flop and then bets after the flop, a lot of times people will float to steal the pot. It used to be back then, you bet afterwards. If they didn't hit the flop, they fold. They don't do that no more. They try to sneak and steal the pot from you.
Yeah.
You still deal with that too, right?
Of course. Yeah, I mean, over time, the level of sophistication of the opponents has definitely increased significantly. And that's from top to bottom. I think that, that's at any buy-in level. Whether you're playing $100 nightly or you're playing $100K. The difficulty of the field has significantly increased over the last 5 to 10 years. So there's a major change in basically people have I think grown to recognize that the equity that you have with even an unpaired backdoor draw type hand to call in position for a small bet is worthwhile in a lot of these situations, and people are playing from a lot more of a
wider
theoretically
range.
sound perspective. So it does lead to a lot more, a lot less folding.
I think that's you just bring up something I feel like is so true about poker, is that it goes through phases. And I think, I've played poker for, I don't know, let's say almost 20 years. But it's like what you were saying is people realize, well, they're just c-betting the flop and I can't just fold every time if I don't hit, right? So it's like this adjustment that everybody makes. And I think what's cool is like the game kind of like is this cycle, right, of going through all these adjustments.
Yes.
And then all of a sudden, okay, I can't keep c-betting this board, 90% of the time, because now they're not folding, a certain range of
That's
hands. So
right.
now you have to go back to checking a bit more. And it's like, that's what's so cool about poker. And I think that's what is going to make the longevity in the game for a lot of pros, because like people are constantly trying to adjust to each other, right?
Yeah.
And exploit each other. And it's like, well, if you're going to bet 100% of the time, I'm going to, start like having to defend a different range of hands maybe than I would when you were only betting 50% of the time.
Yeah, I have Poker Go,
Yep.
and I watch everything.
You do. That's
And,
awesome.
Yeah, and I see where they. I was watching it last night actually, where even though if somebody raises pre-flop, someone will try to steal, and it happens more than what you think.
Sure.
Of course, you don't know that unless you watch TV, because no one knows what you got unless you're under the camera. So that's one thing I like is the game change.
Yeah.
It has changed. When I played years ago, and I ain't won millions yet, but when I played years ago, it was the difficulty of the players. There were a lot of weak players, but today, everyone knows how to play the game.
Yeah. Definitely,
mean,
people are getting tougher for sure.
Alex, when you won that event, when you win an event like that, it's big. That's a big event right there. The buy-in's big. Does that give you confidence to just say, "Hey, I think I can win them all. I'm the king"? I mean,
He always thought that.
no, but he's that good. And you don't mind me calling you Hulk, right? I call this guy Hulk, by the way, guys. Because go ahead, show it one time. Come on, give him a little flick. There you go. I call him Hulk because his eyes are green too, so I don't know when he gets mad to get greener. But I've always called you Hulk. I don't know if anybody else, the Incredible Hulk. He's an incredible poker player is what the hell he is, I'll tell you that. I'm going to go over here to you now. Okay, you just won one in the Poker Go studio.
Mm-hmm.
I'm going to know, are you finally going to say, Clyde, you're not my bad luck no more? I just want to hear it.
You know what? It's a new year, and I have faith. You had a good down, I think it's called.
Is that what
right?
it is?
Yes,
Okay.
I think that's what they call the dealer shift, a down. We had a good one the last time, if I remember correctly.
But see, you remember that when I'm dealing,
I know.
And you actually told me that, I'm like,
Yeah.
man, I don't even think I'm going to get bad beating that bad.
Don't worry. I'm not really superstitious like that, honestly.
Just a little stitch.
Just a tiny
You know,
I have some dealers at Poker Go that I feel very confident when they sit down.
okay.
But
Well, you know,
I
I get chosen to deal over there, and you know how I am. I love it. I love doing
We
my
love you
play-by-play.
there.
I love it. And not only, I want to let you guys know, not only am I dealing to you guys, I'm learning from you.
yeah.
Both of them.
Yeah.
Not just you two, everyone.
I mean, it's a great opportunity.
And as I'm dealing, I'm trying to run the game, and that clock for 10 seconds stops me from being as focused as I really want to be.
Yeah.
Especially when it's pot limit.
Yeah.
But I'm watching the bet sizing, what position you're playing. All of this matters when you're playing poker. Are you against a wild, crazy player? Or is it a rock player? I watch all this stuff, so I learn from you guys a lot.
Yeah.
And I get a kick out of dealing with you all.
Yeah.
And I had a few people that's been on my broadcast, and I've asked them this question. Do you have a problem with me, all the excitement?
I love it.
You love it?
Personally, I love it. Yeah.
You love it?
Yeah.
What about
Alex?
you?
Yeah, it always makes me laugh.
I mean,
Yeah.
I had, like, I think I told her this the other day. I think it was like 2 weeks ago I was dealing, and there was a pot that came up, and, like I was saying about that clock, it drives me nuts. I'm sorry, but it does. It's the 10-second thing.
I know. Trust me.
But But as I'm dealing the hand
Yep.
and the flop's out, and as the hand is playing out, again, I gotta keep saying, like, let's just say you two are heads up right here.
Yeah.
Okay? Raise, you're waiting forever, and then I go 10 seconds, right? Then you make the call. Then I put the flop out, and it goes back to Alex. And I go, okay, over to C2. And he'll think forever, and I'll go 10 seconds. And then he'll bet. And I go, now over to C6 now. And you'll wait the 10-second thing. Get what I'm getting at?
Yeah.
And now the flop's out there.
Mm-hmm.
So not only am I thinking about the 10 seconds,
Yeah.
I'm thinking about, okay, what's he got?
Yeah.
That's what
There's
I
a
do,
lot
honest to
going on.
God.
Yeah.
This is how I get myself better, by the way.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean,
I
for
watch
what
this.
it's worth, when I started playing poker, I pretty much am self-taught. And I just made myself, when I play, try to get, like, even when I fold, just really make sure I'm paying attention and trying to guess what everybody has. I think it's the best way to learn. I really do. And I think
Exactly.
that these days, everyone's addicted to their phones. So they fold and then they go on their phones and they're missing all of this information. And if you just play what I call like active playing, it's just active learning. Like you learn so much by watching. So I can imagine as a dealer.
Well, yeah.
that's-
And like I said, while I'm doing this and I'm predicting what you have and
Yeah.
what he's betting and what he's trying to represent, and, you know, and in the clock thing going on,
Mm-hmm.
well, this happened 2 weeks ago. There was a big hand going on. I forget which two players were in it. And there was a raise pre-flop, a re-raise, and then he calls. And now, in between all that, it's 10 seconds,
Yeah.
wait a minute, time extension. You know, I'm like, oh, shoot. Okay? So, anyhow, as the hand played out at the very end, there was a huge bet.
Okay.
And I think it was like 152,000. And it got to the other player. And I was watching, and I think, okay, he's going to fold. And I'm going 10 seconds. And then time extension. And I'm thinking, oh, God, what's he going to do? Remember, you know how I am. I'm so excited. I can't wait to find out what's going to happen. That's just how I am. And I'm thinking, okay, all right, he's going to fold for sure. And out of nowhere, he makes the call. Okay?
I thought he was going to shove.
No.
Okay.
No. He goes, I call. And I go, and he makes the call. I lost control. I went, and he makes the call. Now, I thought for sure he was going to fold. And I go, oh, I'm sorry. I lost control, everybody. And they all started laughing, but I did. I lost control because but I wanted to finish it off by saying, and what a call, you know? But I didn't want the other, but you guys know
To
I'm doing it
needle
for
the other
fun.
guy.
I would
Was he
never
good?
do
Was he
it to
good?
hurt anybody, right?
Was he good?
He was good.
Oh, wow.
Ooh,
But
so it was a good call.
He used 2 time extensions. Remember, time extension. I'm thinking, oh, I'm just eating up. Time extension. Like, oh my God, what's he got? I thought he should fold by now. That's my mind thinking while I'm
Yes.
sitting there. And all of a sudden he makes the
Yeah.
call. I'm like, God damn, he makes the call.
These
And I
hands
said
are
it out
yeah.
loud. And I'm like, oh, shoot.
It's
But
intense.
That's why I
It is
love
very intense.
Can you tell I love poker a little bit?
I love it.
I mean, I love doing this. This is fabulous.
We
And
love it
Yeah.
too.
Yeah.
And
I mean,
I
it's
think
amazing.
going back to Alex's win, because I feel like you were about to say something potentially about what that win, you know, what it is. But I think that what I would add in, like what came to my mind is just, I think winning a big tournament like that, then for me, I don't know if you agree with this, but the number one like hill that you climbed, so to speak, is performing under so much pressure. And I think what people, if you've never played in that spot, right, with the time extensions, you're playing with the best people in the world, you're on a stage, like, you know, thousands of people are watching you and judging you. And it's just like that to me, I feel like
Yep.
people don't necessarily talk about that part of the game a lot. And I
And
think
that's
that,
why he's a winner, though.
oh yeah, he
He
performs.
can handle it anytime.
He performs very, very well under pressure. I think maybe better than anybody.
Alex,
and yeah,
I got a question for you. I'm not sure if you were at this table,
Okay.
but tell me if you remember me saying this. I was at table 1. They moved me from 5 to 1 for some reason,
Okay.
and they were redrawn, and players got moved around. This was a couple weeks ago.
Okay.
I think you were one of them at the table.
Okay.
I'll put it this way. Was Helmuth at your table? Then
I don't
maybe
think
you
he-
weren't.
I don't think he
Okay.
was,
He
yeah.
was at this table.
okay.
Anyhow, this table was loaded.
She might have been there. You had
I
Elmer's
was
on
at
the
his table for a second.
It was loaded.
Okay.
And I said, oh, my Lord. I've been dealing for a long time. I've never had dealt to a powerful. Now, first of all, as you know, every table's you got to have a bad beat to lose. That's how good everybody is, right?
Yeah.
But this table, my God, it had Helmuth, it had Osman, it had all these guys who won millions and millions of dollars. And I'm like, I can't believe I'm dealing at this table. This is insane. It had, golly, what's the one who can come back from anywhere? I'm brain dead with my mind right now, but it'll come to me later. But the table was so packed. And I started because I kind of do a little bit of homework. I'm like, I bet you there's $100 million winners at this table combined.
Yeah.
I mean, I couldn't believe it. There was no names at this table.
Yeah.
And I believe you were sitting in seat 3. I believe you were one of them at the table.
Okay.
And Helmuth was down at table 6, right?
Yes.
Or seat 6,
Yes.
right? So you were one of them.
He might have been to
and
my
Jeremy
left.
Osmus was sitting in seat 1.
Yep.
I think he was.
Sean Winter was another one. He wants a lot of money, right?
Yeah.
Sean Winter was at the table. And like, this damn... And then Helmuth? I mean, Helmuth, I know, has won $30 million.
Okay.
Lucky Chewy was at the table. He's won $22 million. She's won $9 million. See what I mean? You keep adding all these up.
Yeah.
My God, Jeremy Osmus, I haven't wrote it down yet. Yeah, he's probably won $20 million.
At
Right?
least.
At least I'm sure.
I mean, you're
Yeah.
talking $100,000.
Yeah.
I'm like, wow, and I'm dealing this table.
Yeah. It's cool.
And I am dealing. I actually was hoping, please don't make a mistake and flip a card because I was so excited. I mean, here's another thing, Kristen. You guys are great people too.
Yeah.
You don't fight and argue at the table. No one
Yeah.
does. In that room, I haven't seen anybody call anybody a name.
Yeah.
And I haven't seen anybody.
Yeah, you're right, actually. I don't think there's been...
And I haven't seen nobody
much.
yelled at a dealer.
Yeah.
I just get a thrill to deal over
It's
there.
a really cool poker room. I
That's
think that it's got a very special kind of like, I don't know.
Well, to some extent, it's just the result of the stakes. I think that there's a really strong correlation between appropriate behavior and the buy-in. When you go up in stakes, you go down in inappropriate behavior almost always.
Okay.
I mean, yeah. I was
like-
just thinking of us
You're right.
playing 1-3
You're right.
yeah.
recently. Can we tell you a funny story?
Yes,
Alex
tell
is
me.
going to tell you.
This was
is
really
a good
funny.
one.
So,
Tell me 1-3.
So it was
Where at?
last December.
my
We were in
birthday.
Lake Tahoe. We went there for her birthday. Did a little skiing and a little
Okay.
vacation. And
But we're so addicted to poker, and I knew there was a poker room.
I did not want to do this for what it's worth.
Okay.
But since it was her birthday, she wanted to play a cash game.
Okay.
The stipulation that I gave was that we can't be, I didn't want to go into this room and have to be interviewed at the table, basically.
yeah.
So we dressed up in disguises.
Oh, my.
And went and played.
I love it.
Went and played 1-3 at.
Oh, my
at the-
God.
And it was very funny. We were both playing very silly. I was pretty much never folding.
Neither was I.
Yeah. I mean, we both were. It was a really funny experience, but it was most interesting and relevant to what I was saying before because of the fact that we were getting berated endlessly. Like the people,
dealer was mean to
was
Alex.
making fun of me.
His arms.
Called me T-Rex arms, and because the way I was putting my bets out. I mean, I was just having fun, but.
He was trying to be really make sure that nobody recognized him. So
that part was just
your body
fun.
language.
I was trying to imitate the way Sam. Have you watched Sam Greenwood play? He's got a very unique bet. He does the claw bet where he holds his
And then
hand.
he drops him like that,
he,
just
abruptly-
like that. And when
And
he
I always
comes
found that
out, he
hilarious,
comes
so-
out like it's a machine too. He doesn't just go out. He goes,
Yeah, it's slow.
Yeah,
and
and
then a pause. And then,
Yeah.
and then
drop.
that's
Yes.
how he does it.
So I was doing that, and I was just. Anyway, I got called T-Rex arms by the dealer. The people to my left, the whole experience was absolutely hilarious.
They were so mean to
there
us.
was a couple
Yeah.
a couple to my left who were whispering things about the hand while they're playing the hand to each other. They were whispering, talking shit about both of us in the middle of it was hilarious. I wasn't bothered. Neither of us were bothered by it at all. It was just really funny to see the way that people conduct themselves in that environment relative to the way that people conduct themselves.
Yeah, and it's a little
in
eye-opening
10K.
too when you hear about people talking about an experience of playing 1-2 or 1-3, and it's very competitive at those stakes. And I think what might happen, this is my guess, is that people are playing with money that they probably shouldn't be. Whereas at Poker Go, that doesn't really happen because I think that in order to make it far in poker, you have to be responsible with your bankroll, or you're just kind of numb to getting yourself in a bad spot,
think
because
it's
there's
more to
definitely
that,
people
where-
who are in bad financial spots. But
You're either properly managing your risk or you are truly numb to the swings. I think
yes,
it's one
exactly.
or the other,
but like
both.
at lower stakes, it's intense.
So are you going to do that again, dress up and do that again?
I hope
you had that much
so.
fun?
I had so much fun.
She has tried to talk me into doing it again. I forget when, but there was another time where you wanted to do it.
I love it. There's something about sitting down at the poker table as a female and playing really aggressive and having everybody get really angry at you that I kind of love. So it's a fun experience for me.
Yeah, it's fun. Yeah. For me, it's fun for an hour or two, and then for me, I'm more like the joy that I get out of poker is the competition and like the playing at a high level and all that.
But you can get that with the cash game. You can get the psychological battle, but you have to. The dynamic has to build.
It's just when I'm winning like whatever $300 or something.
Yeah, it's not even it's not about the money. It's just I don't know. There's something fun.
It's the love of poker is what it sounds like to me.
Like the funnest days of poker, we're in a great spot right now, and it's a lot of fun. But it was so fun making the first 100,000. Is more fun than
Yeah, in some ways,
it's so cool. I think so.
Yeah.
I got a question. I've asked a few of my players that's come in here, to play these $10,000 entries and re-enter in that. A lot of people are on that coin thing. Are you guys into that coin thing?
Alex loves the coins.
You love the coin thing?
Some of them, yeah.
Is it worth it? I mean, some people might want to try it, Alex.
Well, to clarify, you mean Bitcoin?
Yeah, Bitcoin.
Okay. Right. I think it's a sound investment. I think that
it's the future.
I do think that it will be used
because I hear a lot of pros do that so they can make money to see it in some of the events. I mean, that's what I'm hearing.
Well, I think it's more of like an adjacent investment, not necessarily like something that they're parlaying. I think it just happens that way, where a lot of people, first of all, as a poker player, you travel a lot generally, and moving money overseas and across borders can be very difficult. So as a poker player, you get to see firsthand how flawed the established monetary system with banks is right now. And
the
how
cost
difficult,
to send a wire, the time it takes to send a wire, like cryptocurrency it's incredible for moving money.
Yeah, the ease of moving money, across the world with a click of a button for no fee, basically, $1, pennies, depending on which chain you're using.
You should just get some.
I don't have it. I'm afraid of losing what I have. That's
even if it's $100 though, I would just put it in.
Well, yeah, and I would say that if you're someone who's working on a salary and doesn't just have a large amount of disposable capital, the most appropriate way to invest, in my opinion, is to, especially if you're not someone who's following the market closely enough or expert enough to understand the swings and have a predictive idea of where the market is going, which I think very, 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 like we're talking about, maybe 1/10,000th of the population that actually has any edge over, and it might even be lower than this. But basically what I'm saying is a strategy called dollar cost averaging, which is when you buy whatever amount you can afford on a weekly basis or a daily basis. Like, let's say you put $5 in a day or $1 in a day or whatever it is you decide that you can afford.
Okay.
And then the reason this is such a great method is because you become fairly indifferent to the price action. So as the price goes up, you're effectively buying a smaller amount, even though it's the same amount of money. And as the price goes down, you're buying a larger amount, even though it's the same amount of money. So what will happen is over time, you end up with a decent average price, depending on the price action. Of course, if it just goes up in a straight line, it would have been better to put it all in at once. But when the markets tend to swing, nothing happens in a straight line, whether it be up or down. So investing in this way is, one, a great way to not overextend and to not, end up in a situation where you're putting more money in than you can afford to lose. So you basically treat it as an expense is the way that I would recommend beginning to invest in something like this, or really in anything at all. It's the same way that most people provide money for their retirement accounts, for like a 401k. It'll come out of their paycheck every month. So you say, okay, I need $2,500 a month.
That's what I'm doing right now.
Yeah, and I need $2,500 a month to pay my rent and to pay my bills and my car payment and whatever. And then, but I'm making $3,000, so now there's a $500 extra, so I can put some of that towards an investment. And I think so let's say $100 a month or whatever it is that you decide you can afford. That's how I think you should approach it.
You're not going to go broke, right? I mean, you're not going to go unless you put too much in there, it goes a big drop, right? I mean, you're pretty much safe, or no?
Well, nobody really knows what's going to happen, but it's the same as putting it in any stock, or even you could say, you've taught me so well, the same as USD, right? Like,
Yeah, well, that's the thing is that,
Yeah.
Bitcoin may have these sharp swings up and down, but the US dollar is inflating slowly, and you're basically having your spending power taken day by day every time you're holding dollars. So you can either choose to ride the swings of an investment like equities or Bitcoin, or you can choose to ride the slow bleed down of the dollar. So it's really, the only way to ensure that your spending power is not eroded by inflation is in the current economic system is to have investments in assets or equities or Bitcoin, which is an
All right.
asset.
Well, listen, all those who've asked me that question out there, we got a professor. He knows what he's talking about.
he does.
Wow,
He does.
man, I don't know crap about it. That went phew over my head. All right, I'm going to go back to you, Kristen. First of all, you both know what happened to me, and one of the things my doctor wanted me to do was to do a lot of walking.
Yep.
After I had and I happened to think, you know what, I'm missing the World Series. I was going to play it, and I decided to take my walker, and I ran into you, and you had me in tears, honey.
Aw.
No, really, you came and hugged me and said, "I'm glad you're alive, Clyde,"
Yeah.
and that stuff. And I stand there and I rooted on you. You were at a feature table.
I remember
believe.
this.
And as I walked around, running into the other pros, they were coming up hugging me. I mean, it made me feel so good.
Yeah.
But also what made me feel good was you damn near won that thing. Tell me about your experience
Yeah.
on that run, please.
Yeah. Well, for one thing, thank you for coming to cheer for me. I appreciated that. So it goes both ways. I remember that. I think it was day 2 or 3 of the main.
I was there a couple days
yes,
and you were
yeah.
there. Yeah.
I remember one specifically.
Yeah.
And we were all sad to hear what happened. And, as you know, like, you have lots of friends at the Poker Go studio. And, it's its own little family there. So, yeah, there's that. That run, it was going deep in the main is very unique and interesting. I was on stream a lot of most of the days that I played.
Yeah.
And you've played poker tournaments before.
Yes, I played the game before, so I know how it is.
It's grueling. And, the adrenaline builds with every single day. It's harder to sleep. It's more exciting. It was a very interesting experience. It's a shame how I went out. There was a lot of, talk about that or criticism, however you want to say it. And it's been a cool learning experience dealing with that, actually. I think it's
Well, I want to tell you something. I watched it.
Okay.
Okay? I don't think you did nothing wrong.
Thank you.
Because if he doesn't have that hand,
Yeah.
he can't call.
Yeah.
Now, people that know how to play poker
Sure.
know what I'm talking about.
Yes. Yeah.
And I'm not a millionaire
Yeah.
yet, but I watched the whole thing, and
Yeah.
you did nothing wrong. You made a poker move.
Thank
People
you.
do it all the time.
Yeah, I made a bad read, I think, and it happens. And at least I didn't, blind out, wait for aces, and that wasn't my strategy going into that day. And I wanted to give myself a good chance to win the event. And do I usually play that hand that way? Probably not. I don't think that I've played, a similar hand similarly my whole life. But, you're tired. There's a lot of adrenaline.
Well, you forgot to mention the player you were up against.
Yeah.
That had something to do with it too, I bet, right?
Sure, yeah. There was a lot of stuff. There's a lot of stuff in play at that moment. But,
Yeah.
What do you want to say? I feel like because please help me.
I mean,
I was just going to say that when the guy doesn't know what planet he's on, it's a little bit, it makes things interesting.
So I watched, I seen who he was in the hand with.
Yeah.
I don't want to mention who it is.
Sure.
Or nothing like, even though we all know
Yes.
who it is. But, that's part of the play. I mean, you switched gears. You could have maybe had aces. He don't know.
Yeah.
But he had the hand.
Yeah.
And
It was a fun experience overall.
Yeah.
I think a lot of people might think I'm more upset about where I finished than I am. I think that, I play tournaments every single day, and I tried to go into the tournament thinking it's just another tournament. And I think that's really important when you play poker tournaments, because if you go into the main event thinking it's some big deal, that you have so much control that maybe you don't have. I just don't think that that's the mindset for success in that event necessarily, or any poker tournament. Yeah. You kind of have to be willing to die, at any moment. And I accumulated a lot of chips that tournament that, I probably shouldn't have, I guess you could say, or that maybe, from being aggressive or, I don't know the right way to put it.
Well, in 2017, I played the main event for the very first time.
Okay.
And I couldn't sleep.
Yeah.
The day before.
Yeah.
The day after day 2. The day after day 3. Thinking, oh my God, this is
unbelievable. It gets harder and harder.
And after day 4, when I got knocked out, it actually took me, I'm not kidding you, from my focus.
Yeah.
That I was so focused watching everybody's, ranges and stuff. How many hands are they playing? Who's all that. And finally, when I was out, it took me 3 days to recover.
Yep.
Mentally, because I was that locked in.
100%.
And you always need a little luck. And on day 2, like I said, on the 2017 main event, we had a crazy guy raising everything. I mean, the table was wild. And Jonathan Little was at my table, but he wasn't playing crazy like they were.
Sure.
And I talked to Jonathan about this a couple times. But anyway.
Was it Alex?
No, Alex wasn't at the table. Anyhow, raising like crazy. And he kept raising me, of course. I'm like the older guy, rock guy.
Sounds like Alex.
So I finally stood up to him. I said, if this guy raises me and I got a hand, I'm going to go all in no matter what I have. I'm going to go in. I'm just going to make it, because that would shock them. I've never moved all in the whole tournament, right?
Right.
So sure enough, he raises me. And the guy's right here raising me every time he's to my right. And I look down at pocket tens, and I'm like, okay, this is it. And I act like it's a tough decision, of course, Leon. Finally go, I'm all in. And he snapped, I'm in, I call. He snapped me off like, oh, shit. I said, he's really got to land this time, huh? He rolls over pocket kings. I got pocket tens. Okay? I remember it's my first time in the main event, day 2.
Yeah.
And I'm thinking, well, I guess I'm going to be out now. I mean, I know the numbers.
Yeah.
But when that 10 of clubs hit the river, I jumped out of that chair. Yeah, yeah. And he starts going, blah, blah, blah. He was from a foreign country. I know he was cussing. I don't know what he was saying.
Of course.
But then the whole rest of the day, he cussed at me. And I kept calling the floor, hey, man, this guy, he's talking different language. We're not foreign language at the table. And I know he's bitching at me because I got lucky on him. And he kept doing it. They finally said something to him. And finally, our table broke. But that's part of the luck you need. I had a 2-outer one. Now, that was the only time I can ever remember getting lucky.
Yeah.
But I made a poker move on this guy because he's raising me every hand.
A lot of people did that to me, this main event, actually. I had some funny hands that we played. But, the not being able to sleep thing is very real. And I was 8 days in. And I was playing on stream for...
At least 6 of them.
Yeah. Which is, people don't realize when you're on stream. Yeah. When you're on stream, it's tiring. It's
very different than playing off stream.
Yes.
The level of, I'm not exactly sure what it is. I believe a lot of it has to do with the lights. And I think that your eyes adjusting to the bright lights is very draining. Like, I think it takes a lot of energy that most people, or maybe don't realize, because I feel very different after a day of playing at a non-stream table than a stream table. And it's nothing to do with discomfort. Like, I have no issue with playing on the stream. It's something physical.
The lights are insane. That's why I was wearing the funny glasses to try to minimize that.
Block some of the light,
it's crazy. It's such a crazy experience. That's why, I just have to kind of laugh when people who have never been in that position want to sit there and, make negative comments towards me. It's like, just be in that situation for 1 hour and let's see how you do. Right. Because that's the cool thing about the main event. You just see everybody. A common theme was the non-pros or the less experienced pros, in my opinion, like they just kind of crumble in that tournament because there's so much pressure, there's so much hype, and it's I
was just gonna say it highlights that whole experience highlights like one of the best things about poker is that when you sit on the sidelines and you are watching a stream with hole cards up, what everyone has. It's really damn easy to say what the right decision is, and But when you're at the table, it becomes a lot. It becomes a lot harder, and I think that it's one of those things where the cognitive dissonance is so strong that it makes it very difficult to recognize the bias within yourself. That when you're watching and you see someone's hand, you're like, "Oh, this is an easy fold." But then when you're on the other side of it and you're facing the aggression and you don't see their hand, the decision becomes a lot more difficult. So I think that it's what makes poker what it is, because everyone believes that they're capable of playing at high levels, because conceptually it's rather easy when you're able to remove yourself entirely and look at it. Or not rather easy, but it seems easy. But then the execution is, kind of one of the main difference makers, I would say, between someone who's playing $5 ABI online and someone who's playing the high stakes.
Okay, that's another question I usually ask everyone. Do you prefer live or online, or do you even play online? I don't know.
Yeah, I do play online. I pretty much grew up, playing a combination, but I did play a lot of online. I definitely would attribute learning the game pretty much from online poker. I like both. I think that it's nice going back and forth. I think that with online, you can get a lot of reps in. You can kind of, you play way more hands per day. Yeah. You get, instead of playing one tournament a day, you can play 40. So there's that benefit, and you can sit in your pajamas at home.
Well, what about you?
I don't know.
Would you rather play live, Alex, or you both? It doesn't matter. What about you?
I definitely prefer live overall.
That's what I do.
But yeah, like Chrissy said, there are pros and cons to both. Some of my favorite days are, Sundays with some football on or something.
And playing a little tournament.
Playing, a smaller session.
It's because you love poker, buddy. I know.
Of course.
You can't help it.
Yeah,
if I can't go play live, then give me that damn...
Yeah. There's something beautiful, too, about being able to play a bunch of tables at once, because sometimes, for me, one of the most tilting things about busting a tournament live is that I'm not in the tournament anymore. It's not so much the money. It's not winning the tournament. It's that I don't get to play anymore.
Yeah, and you don't know what to do with yourself.
Because I love
Me and Alex are so rare, because I feel like a lot of people are like, oh, I busted. I'm going to go, I don't know, have a drink or do this. And both of us are like, we just need to play another tournament.
Yeah.
To feel
I mean you were talking
like things are okay.
It was funny when you were talking about the main event and you said how you busted out and you needed 3 days to recover. I'm like I remember the deepest I went in the main event was in 2018, I think it was. And I got 40th. It was day 7. Wow. And I was in another tournament within like 10 minutes of busting.
Yeah.
I don't know how you did that.
It's the only way to feel
I literally needed help.
Because to me, it's one of the. It's like when you bust a tournament, it reminds me kind of it's like a death almost, where you're out of the tournament, and because I think we're both the same way in that, put all of my focus and all of my energy into that tournament, and I'm not so much of the belief that you sit down and you get the cards and you do what you do and whatever happens. I'm like kind of more of the white knuckle, I'm going to make this work approach. And any tournament can be won.
He's great.
Hey, everybody watching, this is how you become great. I'm not, I know you're laughing, but I'm being serious.
I appreciate that.
You do not want to lose, dude.
No, yeah. And you know what? And I'm looking for every edge I can get.
Listen, I take that with my age and stuff. You can't do this, Clyde. What about Clyde being short? You can't do that neither, Clyde. Well, guess what? I still am doing it. And once my chest gets completely healed, I'll be back to shooting hoops, and you'd be amazed at how good I used to be.
Oh, yeah?
Awesome.
Even though I'm a short little dude. Oh, you're not big enough for this. You're not good enough for that. You're too little for that. And you know what? That just encourages me to go do it. Yep. I mean, damn it.
There's nothing I like more than being doubted.
And you're kind of small too, right?
Yes,
so you know what I mean?
100%,
right?
yeah.
Yeah.
I had a lot of people, when I said I want to be a poker pro, all my friends being like, you can't do that.
Hey, when I went, this is no joke. Yeah. When I went off for the basketball team, I'm only 5'2". I'm not kidding. This is before I hurt my knees and stuff. Right. But we did these exercises that got you to strengthen your legs where you can jump real high. Now, I'm only 5'2", and I was getting the top diamond of the rim.
Wow.
I mean, that's flying.
Yeah.
I mean, when you jump, you felt like you're floating.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
And I played well, and I was the final cut. And being the short guy, I was the final cut on the team, and the guy goes, man, if you were just Tyler, you're dangerous. You're quick, you're fast.
Yeah.
That's what he told me.
Size
But
is
because somebody told me I couldn't, I thought I was going to make the team there. People are getting cut, and I'm still there. I'm like, hey, I might make this damn team. It's crazy. But that's what I mean. When someone tells me I can't do it,
Alex is
let's
the
do
same.
it. I can tell it. I love it.
Yeah.
yeah.
You know, I see you guys and I deal to you all the time. I
Yeah.
don't usually get to talk to you like this, and I'm enjoying every damn minute of it, especially with your encouragement. I'd say, hey, man, I'm never going to lose. I love that part. And that's got to rub off on you. Come on. You got to be a little
Totally.
hot cat. Like, "Rah." You got to be ready to get. I'm sorry, but I love doing stuff like this. It's just part of me. "Rah." Oh, I can see you tearing them up, honey.
Yeah.
I can. That's great stuff.
Yes.
I'm telling you. So, what about you? Are you kind of like that? Like, hey, I don't want to lose. I'm going to keep at it, or what?
Yeah. I think that I don't have the. I think Alex has so much good experience with sports that taught you how to compete and like compete at a high level and win, I think.
Okay.
And
yeah.
like he performs really, really well under pressure. And I think I might not, I might have some weaknesses that you don't in that department. But I'm pretty competitive. What were you going to say?
So the weakness is that you acknowledge a weakness. No, I'm kind of joking.
there you
But
go.
I do think that, there's something, especially in poker, about being mildly delusional that is actually a strength. And that might sound kind of weird, but I think that, first of all, it's a game where second guessing yourself and questioning your decisions is natural and part of the game. But it's very easy for that to become paralyzing. So I think that having this level of confidence that I have good decision-making processes, like I'm asking the right questions, I'm thinking about the right things, and just trusting yourself and trusting that is one of the biggest strengths that you can have to execute at a high level. So without that, I feel like it's very easy to get into your head because at the end of the day, most poker theory is like mildly paradoxical in a sense. Like, you're betting small to get certain hands to fold, but you also you're betting small because you have a range advantage. So you're wanting certain hands to fold, but you also have the better hand on average. So when you have the better hand, you don't want them to fold, but you're designing a bet to fold certain hands. So it's like there's a lot of the strategic elements
And
of
I
poker
think that
that are contradictory. So it's very easy if you lack confidence to get lost in these thoughts and be paralyzed and unable to execute. And I think I see that in a lot of people in larger spots where they don't play their best because of this, this kind of paralysis.
Well,
So
I think
being
yeah.
delusional kind of frees you from that. And there are a few people who I think, benefit greatly from that, even and are able to overcome maybe some like theoretical deficits.
Especially with like, all of the tools that there are right now with poker and people being able to put something in a calculator and say, look, you lost this much money by doing this. I think that it's definitely paralyzed a lot of people from being able to play and like sort of giving themselves freedom to make a decision that wouldn't be, correct based on a solver. And it definitely holds you back.
Hey,
And
do you feel that because you're a woman that you get picked on at the table? I mean,
No. I think
No?
I think
I
that
don't
there's more attention
okay.
on me. I think that typically when a female's at the table, people are for some reason, curious. Does she know what she's doing?
Well, not for some reason. The reason is very clear. Just that it's a minority.
Yeah,
it's
exactly.
Yeah.
If someone who walks in and 8 feet tall, there's going to be more attention on them too because they're the only person who's 8 feet tall.
Yeah.
There's
It's kind of
more-
just human nature, I think.
Right.
To focus on the minority.
Yeah, I mean,
In that
exactly.
circumstance.
But what I want to say is, I mean, I deal in the ARI all the time. You'd be amazed at how many more women are playing poker.
It is crazy.
I mean, I'm not kidding
yeah.
you. I mean, we said 8 players, right?
Yeah.
On cash games, 9 on the tournament. I'm dealing at a tournament the other day, and out of the 8 seats, 5 are women.
Yeah.
Wow.
And then I go to a cash game, 2 or 3 women sitting at that table. Go to the next.
Yeah.
So more and more women are learning
Yeah.
or learning to play or starting to love the
Sure.
game too.
Yeah.
Okay?
That's awesome.
Definitely.
So,
Yeah.
and what got you into playing poker here? I mean, what got you started?
Well, I mean, we kind of touched on some of the things that got me started. Really, it was just competition. So my background is like from a study standpoint is in math and finance. That's like what I majored in college. And I was playing football. That was the last sport that I played. But when I grew up, I was basically I would go to school and play sports, and that's all I did. Every single day I had some kind of practice, and when one season ended, the next one began, and I played everything. So I was super competitive. I loved sports. Even when it would be like if I had an hour between school and practice, I would be out in my driveway, like, shooting hoops or
this question's
playing
for
around with
both
a
of
hockey
you here
stick.
now.
So
Okay? A lot of people want to know. They want to get into poker. How do you get a bankroll? That's why I asked about, do you do that
Steal
coin
your
stuff?
mom's credit card.
Is that
and
what
then
you do?
deposit online.
Okay. Well, don't do that out there, but
Just joking.
No, I mean-
I did deposit with my mom's credit card.
I'm
I
assuming-
did pay her back, I believe.
I'm assuming what I hear from most players is how they build their roll. Believe it or not, they start online, play
Yeah.
1 and 2 cent. Next thing you know, they got 1,000, and they open their stakes within a year. All of a sudden,
See, that's the
they're
beauty of
6 digits.
online. You can play a $20 tournament, and I think I turned, I don't know, $20 into 20,000 in one day.
Wow.
You can't really do that live.
You hear that out there, guys?
Yeah.
the barrier to entry is a little bit higher on.
Yeah.
For
You did the
live
same
events.
thing too, right? You ran up
Yeah,
online?
yeah.
Well, that's how you got your bankroll then at the beginning?
I remember I was. It was actually kind of funny. I had a job at the time. This was like 2 or 3 months after I graduated college, or maybe a little bit longer than that. I had been working this job for 2.5 months and wasn't really enjoying it. It was in retirement planning, like pretty dry. And I would, I had probably, I think I deposited a few $100s onto this account. And I remember being down to like $58 left in this account, and I regged a $55 buy-in. And I said to myself that I was going to like focus more on work, because I had been putting a lot of time into poker, and it had been taking away from work. So I was like, if I like bust my roll, then this small roll, I'm going to put a lot more money or a lot more effort into work. And I end up winning this $55 buy-in for like 16K or whatever.
Wow.
I don't remember the exact number, something in that neighborhood. And then
didn't you win another,
and
like
then
a 200?
And then instantly quit my job.
And then now we're talking 42 million, I think. What a great decision, life change that was for you.
yeah. But yeah, so I mean, to answer your question about the bankroll, I think that, as far as like practical advice is concerned, I think it's really dependent on your life situation. Like if your bankroll is your primary money, well, then you need to be a lot more conservative. If you're someone with a job and you can afford a few $100 a week, just like we're talking about investing in, Bitcoin or a stock or something like that, you have to see it in a similar fashion where you can be a little bit more aggressive and see it as an investment.
Yeah.
And I think that if you're someone who, start low, establish yourself as a winner, and then move up in stakes over time.
That's the beauty of, I feel like, so many of the up and coming players, and when you see young guys get into poker, young guys or girls, if you can find poker when your parents are paying your bills, kind of thing, it's a huge advantage, right? Because now you're gambling for money that doesn't really matter, and then all of a sudden, if you're supporting a family or something, it's a whole different.
Well, not to mention the mindset element of that. If you're paying the rent and paying bills and you're dependent on your poker income for that, especially when you're early in your career, it can be. I think it can be very. I mean, I was lucky enough to never really have this situation where like it was, my back was against the wall to pay rent type of thing. But I would expect that if you need to, win your $1,500 a month playing whatever, like that's not always going to happen.
Yeah.
The variance of poker is just such that you can't control that,
And then you can't move up either.
and you also
That's what's
can't
tough.
play your best. I think that it becomes we've spent close to a decade or more working on the mindset element of like removing everything else from your decision-making process besides the actual theory of the game itself. So when you have to, win this pot to pay your rent or something like that, those thoughts creep in and make actual sound decision making a lot more
Your subconscious doesn't
difficult.
want you to lose, so all of a sudden you're like,
You're playing
he
too
must have it,
tight,
whatever it might be.
Yeah. So playing optimally is becomes difficult. So that's why I think it's so important to have a bankroll where any given day, any given month, even any given handful of months, the outcome doesn't really matter for your life.
Wow.
Going back to like the people at 1-2 or 1-3 being pretty mean and like not losing very.
Because these are people who probably got their paycheck and they took like
Yes.
20% of it or whatever, and they're putting it towards a buy-in for
Exactly.
this game, and the guy who 3-bets 10-7 off and beats them in a big pot when they when they have ace queen suited or something like that, they're losing their mind. They're like, what are you doing like that? Instead of seeing it from the perspective of like, this person made a bad play, and that's good for me.
Yes.
Maybe not right now, but it's good for me in
Well,
the
it's
long
the same
run.
thing. How many people, when I sit down at a 1-2 table and start 3-betting, like 25% of hands, how many people leave? Because they're like,
they don't even want to be there.
they're like,
Yeah,
oh my
yeah,
God, she's playing
Yeah, people were asking
crazy.
for table changes
Yes.
when we were there,
You know,
even though we were both giving away money. Like, we were playing
Hilarious.
stupid.
Yeah.
Anyway, when I deal at Aria, we got a lot of regulars to play there. Cash game 1-3, 2-5.
Yeah.
So you could see that they're playing for a living. They're there every day.
Yeah.
And they're pretty good. I mean, let's get real. They're there every day, so you know they're not behind the 8 ball.
Yeah.
And I enjoyed dealing to all these guys because once again, I mean, they're not like you guys like pros, but they're doing it for a living.
Yeah.
They're not doing it for high stake living.
Sure.
But that's what they're doing.
Yeah.
And I tell you what, so far I've had a wonderful time, but we got to end this pretty soon here. And I want to thank both of you for coming by. And I hope you want to do this again. I learned a lot from you, Alex, about a lot of things. Okay. Same with you, dear.
You're welcome.
And I'm glad you made that big round. I was hoping you was going to get to that final table.
Thank you.
And you know what?
Okay.
I would have took my damn walker. I would have been right out there saying, let's do it. I'll give you a snack, damn it.
Yeah, that's all right.
Speaking of giving you a snack, I got to give you a snack.
Wow.
You're here at the Snack Attack Studio. I got to give you, there you go. Now you got yourself a snack. And there you go, Hulkster.
Awesome.
You got yourself a snack. Once again, I want to thank you for coming here.
Thank you, Clyde. Appreciate you having
Being
us.
on the show
Thank
today.
you.
And I also want to thank Sunrise Podcast for having us. And whenever you want to do this again, just let me know. I'm sure I'll deal to you in the Poker Go studio.
Yeah, we'll be seeing you
again,
sometime next week.
Yeah.
Yeah, I
We're
think
counting down the
I'm in
days.
there in 2 weeks or a week away from being in there.
Yeah.
But listen, I want to thank everybody out there watching today. And we had a great show here today. And I hope you all watch it, enjoy it. And like I always like to end most of my broadcasts is thanks for watching. May God bless you and have a good day.
Awesome.